Non-24. Are you experiencing what you'd consider broken sleep? Do you sometimes nap during the day because you cannot physically stay awake? Do you feel like you're constantly running but can never catch up? Do you find it difficult to concentrate sometimes during the day? You are not alone. You may have heard of non-24-hour sleep-wake disorder, free running disorder, non-entrained disorder, or hypernycthemeral disorder, all of which are the same thing, non-24-hour sleep-wake disorder, also called non-24. That's NON-24. So what is non-24 exactly? Non-24 is a serious chronic circadian rhythm disorder that is very common in people who are totally blind. Totally blind, meaning no light perception. And onset can occur with the loss of sight at any age, regardless of the cause of blindness. Non-24 symptoms typically begin shortly after the loss of light perception. It is estimated that 50% to 70% of people who are totally blind have non-24. That is about 65,000 to 95,000 people in the United States. To understand more about the disorder and why it affects people who are totally blind, let's discuss Non-24, the master body clock, and the eye. We all have a master body clock, also called the circadian clock. The master body clock controls the timing of circadian rhythms, which are the daily activity cycles that drive the body's vital functions, like sleep, temperature, digestion, and hormone rhythms. Circadian means about a day. However, most people, sighted and blind, have a master body clock that naturally runs, on average, slightly longer than 24 hours. Light detected by the eyes is the main environmental time cue that resets the master body clock back to 24 hours each day. The eye has two main functions: one, to allow us to see images, and two, to perceive light, which signals the time of day to the brain. Without light cues, the master body clock of people who are totally blind runs on its own non-24-hour internal clock, causing the timing of circadian rhythms to be out of sync with the 24-hour day. Non-24 is about the eye's internal inability to perceive light, signal the brain, and reset the body to the 24-hour day. So if you are totally blind, you may be aware of colors and outlines, but this is not the same as perception of light. You may be thinking that blindness isn't darkness, which is true, even for people who are totally blind. To understand the role of light perception and non-24, let's continue on to discuss non-24 and circadian rhythms. Non-24 occurs when the master body clock and the rhythms it controls are unable to synchronize or become in sync with the 24-hour day-night cycle. It's a timing issue. A timing issue that affects the circadian rhythms of the body, including the sleep-wake cycle and the release of melatonin, the signal that it's dark and time for the body to prepare for sleep, and cortisol, the signal for the body to be alert. Without light cues, the master body clock cannot reset to the 24-hour day. Therefore, your internal body rhythms and the release of melatonin and cortisol cannot reset to the 24-hour day either. This means your body continues to release melatonin and cortisol on its own schedule and not in line with a 24-hour day. For people living with non-24, the sleep-wake cycle shifts in and out of sync with the 24-hour social day. For example, if your master body clock is running on a 24-and-a-half-hour day, it is on a continuous 30-minute shift each day. 30 minutes today, which then adds up to 1 hour tomorrow, 1.5 hours the next, and so on, eventually turning day into night and night into day, creating a sleep cycle that eventually shifts back in sync just in time to start the out-of-sync pattern all over again. On that schedule, It would take 48 days to go through a full cycle, with only 16 days or so of that 48-day period where your melatonin nighttime release and cortisol daytime release would be close to being in sync with the 24-hour day-night cycle. The other 32 days or so of that 48-day period would be out of sync to different degrees with the 24-hour day. It also means that when you're halfway through that 48-day cycle, your melatonin is peaking in the middle of the day, and everything in your body is telling you to sleep. Sound familiar? Let's learn more about recognizing the symptoms of non-24 to better understand if you may have non-24. Diagnosing non-24. Non-24 is different for each person, each body, and each master body clock. This makes non-24 difficult to identify, can cause a delay in diagnosis, and can even prevent a proper diagnosis. For some, a full circadian cycle can be as short as 1.5 months, and for others, it can be months before their sleep-wake pattern is back in sync with the 24-hour day. The example of a 24.5-hour, 48-day cycle could be one person's cycle. It's no wonder that non-24 is often misdiagnosed, and only a small percentage of people are actually diagnosed. Keep track of your sleep and sleep patterns, how you're feeling, and how you may be affected day and night. It's important to share this information with your doctor. The more detail you share with your doctor, the better you will be able to create a management plan together. Non-24 causes problems like disrupted nighttime sleep, an increase in daytime naps, and a decrease in overall functionality. Changes in the sleep-wake cycle can also cause daytime problems with managing school or work, make concentration difficult, cause increased irritability, and have an adverse effect on relationships. Many people living with non-24 may experience changes in alertness and concentration, and a decrease in social and occupational functioning after onset. For some, irritability may worsen when the sleep-wake cycle is not aligned to the 24-hour day. For example, some people have reported symptoms such as feeling energetic at night when most people are sleeping, falling asleep or zoning out while interacting with others, slowed reaction time, not feeling like themselves. Each person's experience with non-24 symptoms is unique. Non-24 is a circadian rhythm disorder, not just a sleep disorder. So if you treat the symptoms of sleep or wake, you aren't treating the disorder itself. If non-24 is only treated as a sleeping disorder, the body is artificially encouraged to sleep at a different time than the body's internal cycle. When this happens, a person may feel sleepy in the middle of the day when their internal clock is telling their body to go to sleep. Non-24 is a serious, chronic circadian rhythm disorder, not just a sleep disorder. It is very common in people who are totally blind. If this sounds like you or a loved one, you are not alone. Your doctor may not be aware of non-24, but it's time to get the conversation started. Talk to your doctor about your daytime and nighttime symptoms and what you've learned in this video, and then share information from the non-24.com website. That's non-24.com. Together, let's spread the word. Learn more at non-24.com.